Okay guys, this PROGRAFIX once again, and today we are going to retouch this particular image. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, try your best to subscribe to my channel as we continue with the retouching of this image. Guys, what you are going to do is, as you have followed me for some time now, you know that I always duplicate my images before I start with my retouching. So you press Ctrl J to duplicate your image as usual. So you click on this, press Ctrl J, and your image will be duplicated. Now from the way you look at this image, it looks a little bit underexposed, so we have to make sure we compensate the light within this particular image. So let's go to filter, then you come to camera raw, then from there we come to this adjustment layer, but most of the times I like using the automatic, and if I see there's too much of the adjustments by automatic, I'll just adjust it a little bit, then bam, we take it up from there. So let me bring the exposure down a little bit, then let's see the white too. Let's bring the white down a little bit. Okay, bring the shadows too down a little bit. So let's look at the before and the after. So you can see before and after there have been a lot of work that has been done in. Let's bring the highlights down also a little bit. Okay, so let's click OK, then begin with our retouch. So I'm going to use the Retouch Pro for this particular tutorial. So from here, what you are going to do is, I'm going to use the frequency separation to retouch this image. But before what I do, most people do take off their spots and blemishes within the frequency separation, but me, I usually take my spots or my blemishes before I start with my frequency separation. So I'll come to the spot healing brush. This is the spot healing brush. I'll come over here. Then what I'll do is you press the caps locks. If the caps locks is on, you see it's like a plus sign like this, but if you take off the caps locks, what happens is that you see your brush very well. So what I'm going to do is I'll reduce the size of my brush, then I start taking off some blemishes from this particular image. Okay, so guys, let's take our time to do that. Okay, so guys, let's take our time to take off all the spots. And in fact, this model doesn't have a lot of spots on the face, so you are not going to spend much time on this particular image. Okay, I think it's okay now. Any further spots that I might find, or any form of distraction that I might find, I will take it off within the frequency separation. So let me click on my frequency separation action. In fact, I've given this action, this retouch panel to some people. Okay, so what you do is you take off the high, as I always do, then you click on this lower, then you come for your mixer brush over here, then you click on mixer brush. The reason why I'm taking my time is because of some beginners that have started following my channel, so that they will get what we are doing over here. So looking at the face of the model, we are not going to brush it this way. No, you brush it according to how the face looks like. So we are going like this. Now guys, before you continue, always you should make sure that you click on this one. Have you seen when the brush is like this, when you paint it will affect the image? You can see there's a color over here. No, so always you must make sure that your brush is clean by clicking this one. Make sure that always your brush is clean, and I always like using the width of 9, so that's what I basically use for my image. So I told you guys that whilst you are retouching over here and your image looks plastic, the better that it becomes. Okay, so but those that have followed me for some time now, you know that I don't usually like images that looks plastic. So let's reduce it over here. Okay. So the purpose of this is to mix the highlights with the shadows. So if you are doing this, you must do it well. Okay. So okay, let's come to the neck. And please, if you are doing this, make sure that you don't interrupt your image with the backgrounds, or else the color in the background will pop up in your skin, in your model's skin. You press on the space bar, then you can move to this side, then you continue. Okay. Okay, so let's come to the hands. Take our time to do this. Okay, let me reduce the brush a little bit. Okay. Let's come to the nose. Let me reduce it. Okay. So let's bring the texture and let's see how far we have got into. So let me take off the, so you can see before and after, before and after. Now what we are going to do is you are going to blend this place very well, this side, you can see, so that it matches, the highlight over here matches with the shadows over here. So let's take off the high, increase our brush, then let's do that. Okay, so you should know that you don't mix your shadows with your highlight. You can bring the highlight a little bit into the shadows. That will bring a form of uniformity. So let's do that. So let's bring it back so you can see there's a lot of difference. So you can continue. With this ones. Okay. Let's go on. Okay. So you are still retouching. Always make sure that you have selected the low when you are doing this kind of retouching. Make sure that you have always selected the low. Okay. Okay. So you gently do that. Guys, I've told you that when it comes to retouching, you should always have time for your images. It's very, very important. Someone came to me and said, hey, you are retouching image, you get time for this? And I said, yes. Models do pay, and some people also do pay for their work. So if you are retouching their works, you make sure that you have done the best for them. And I always tell you that this work is basically by recommendation. So if you don't do it well, who is going to recommend you? So you do it well so that you get a better recommendation. Okay. Okay, let me bring the high back. So let's see, let's bring this one down a little bit. Okay, so guys, you can see, let's check the before and after. So before, after, so you can see now we have been able to blend the highlights with the shadows. So what we are going to do is we are going back to our laser tool over here. And those that have followed me, you always know that from using the mixer brush, I still come to the laser tool. So with the laser tool, what you are going to do is, when you choose the laser tool for the first time, what you realize it, here will be 0, your feather will be 0. So always you should make sure that you choose your feather. Now, these settings for the feather might not be as to other image depending on the particular image that you are working on. So I basically use within 15 and 20, so I can choose 20 over here, and you make sure that you have selected your laser tool with this one. This one will give you a double selection. For instance, if I've selected this one and I come and choose this one will not go. Let me bring it so you can see it's duplicating. It is duplicating. So if you apply the effect, it will apply to it all. So you must choose this one. Okay, so there's the laser tool. It is also used for selection. So what I'm going to do is I'll come over here, then begin to draw. Someone will ask that why is that I've also selected hair. I want the hair over here to be a little bit flat because it is raising a little bit. I want it to be flat, but after I've applied the effect and I realize that it is affecting the skin by giving a different color to the skin, then I have to do something with it. So always when you're doing this selection, make sure that you have selected the low. Then I come to filter, I come to blur, and I come to Gaussian blur. Now within over here, you choose according to how you want the texture to be. With my previous videos, if you watch on the how I do this frequency separation using the laser tool by adding the Gaussian blur to it over here, you got to know that we do ×2 ×3. And if you watch the previous video, you understand, so I don't want to go deeper. But over here, you just shift it a little bit and look at how you want the skin to be. And 6.6, because I've done the, how do you call it, I've done the mixer brush, I think I shouldn't make it too soft. A lot of people like their images to be too soft, but I don't like it that way. So let's click OK. But I want to show you something over here. After you have even applied and you find out that the effect you have applied is too much, you left click and you see this option over here, feather Gaussian blur. You click on it and you can reduce the percentage of the opacity. So I can do it maybe, let me see, 87. Okay, let me zoom in so that we see what you have done so far. You can see. Then I come over here, choose from here, come over here, come over here. Then I apply this Gaussian blur. Come over here, select likewise. Then come here, then I click on the Gaussian blur. Did this color popped in? Let me see. No, it didn't. Okay, so I also come over here, then do likewise. Okay, then I come over here, then do likewise. So when you see over here, when I applied it, it looks like the image is becoming a little bit blurred. Okay, so let's apply it again so that you see what I'm talking about. So when you apply it, it looks a little bit blurred. So what I'm going to do is I'll come and reduce the opacity a little bit, like 55. Because this image here lost focus a little bit, so that is how it's going to be. Come over here, apply. If you feel it's too much, you come over here, sorry, you come over here, let's reduce it. Now when you look over here, I always apply it on the low. Please take note of that. If you don't do that and you apply it on the high, the image will become blurry, very blurry. So let's apply it. I think it here is okay. Okay, let's apply it here. Okay, I'll leave here like that. Let's see if you apply with the hands how it's going to be. Okay, so apply. Okay, let's see, apply. Okay guys, so let's see before, after, before, after. Let me zoom in so that guys you can see the change before, after, before, after. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'll select this once, then Control Alt Shift, then the letter E to merge and duplicate the image. Then I go back to color. Let me name this color correction. You are coming to do color correction. So the color correction for the skin tone, and perhaps it might affect the background. If you want to mask and take the background out, you can do that. Okay, so color correction, we come to filter and come over here. Now we can choose to use this particular skin tone, but we want to tweak this image, so we have to do some few changes. So what we are going to do is we come to the calibration. Then we start to push some of the portions over here. So let me start with the blues. Let me push the blues a little bit and see. Okay, then let's see the greens. Let me bring it down a little bit, push it here. Okay, now some of these things I do tell you that police is not going to arrest you. You are the one sitting behind the computer. So if you are doing most of these things, what you are supposed to do is you should understand what you are doing. 1, 2, whilst you are editing, just look at the image and just ask yourself this question: if I'm the one in this image and I'm being edited, if the photographer gives me this particular image, will I appreciate? That's the question you ask yourself. So you do it according to how you feel, if it's being given to you or if you are the one, you accept it. So you should take this so that you shouldn't be afraid with what you are doing. A lot of people get scared when it comes to some of these things. You shouldn't get scared. Okay, police wouldn't arrest you. Okay, we are all still learning, so let's push it a little bit. Okay, it looks like the yellows are too much, so let me bring the blues down a little bit. Okay, so let's look at the before and the after. So you can see, let me zoom in. So when you look at this particular image, you can see that you have a lot of the yellows over here, and when you see here, we have a lot of the reds over here. So we have crushed most of the yellows and the greens in this image so that the reds will pop. Okay, so if you feel it's okay, 1, 2 is not disrupting your background and it's appealing to your eyes, you just click OK, then you go on with the next step. Okay, so what is the next step that you are going to do with this particular image? What I'm going to do over here is I'm going to do my skin tone. After I've applied this color, the color correction, I'm going to do my skin tone, and I'm going to teach you how to create your own skin tones. And some of them I might apply the color code so that it will be easier for you, and I can also create it as a preset for you and you can use it later on. So what I'm going to do is you come over here to the adjustment layers, then you select solid colors, then you click OK, you invert this one. Then what you do is you come over here and choose any color over here, especially you choose the lighter colors that are over here, then you click OK. Now police will not arrest you, so you adjust it according to how you want it. Now most of the times, let me pass this advice, most of the times after you are finished with your color correction, your image looks good and there is no need for you to do any skin tone. So when we apply this skin tone and we see that this skin tone and the color grading is better than the skin tone, we just take off the skin tone. Take note of that. Okay, so I'll come to my brush, then I come and click on my mask. So if the mask here is black, you should know that your brush should be what? White to review. So press on the caps lock. Then the next thing is you have to change the blending mode over here to softer light. Yes, or else your skin tone will look something else. So you start applying your skin tone. Start applying your skin tone. Okay. Guys, don't be scared. We are going to adjust it. Okay. Oh, it is getting into our, because you have not reduced the flow. When you are doing this, you need to take your time because it might go over into your background and you don't want to do that. Okay, I want to take our time so that we work on this image very well. So when you look at the skin tone that you have just done right now, you have created right now, you'll get to know that it is blending the color of the face and the color within the neck. If you can see very well, that's why we call it skin toning. Skin toning. We are toning the skin so you can see. Okay, so take your time, then we work on this one. Okay, so guys, I've created a WhatsApp group, so if you are not part of my WhatsApp group, please make sure that you will be part. You send me a message or you email me, then I send a link to you. Okay, so we have applied the skin tone. Don't worry, some of these ones you are going to work a bit, so don't worry. Okay, let's come to the ear. No. Okay, take this one from the background. Okay. Okay. Please, I'm not using a how do you call it, a graphics tablet, so please forgive me. Sorry, please forgive me if some of these things do happen, because sometimes when you are using the mouse, the impression, let me reduce this one. So press on X, reduce, then this. What am I doing? Oh, come on. So, okay. So, no. Yes, I want to take it off a little bit. Take it off a little bit. Okay, so guys, I think you can see the difference now. So the skin tone is too loud, so you come over here, then reduce the opacity a little bit. Reduce the opacity. So let's say 50. Let's see 50. Okay, so look at the before, after, before, after, before, after. So let's name this one skin tone. Okay, so let me reduce it a little bit. I feel like reducing it a little bit so that doesn't look too loud. So you can see before, after, before, after. Let me zoom in so you can see the before and the after. So before, after, before, after. Okay guys, so the next step that we are going to do in this image is we are going to do our dodge and bend. So the dodge and bend, for beginner's sake, let me create the dodge and bend. So what I'm going to do is I'll come over here then come to the curves. Now dodge means that you are adding more highlights, and bend means that you are adding more shadows or darkness. Okay, so if this one should be our dodge, then we have to increase this one a little bit. Now when you are increasing your dodge, look at the highlight, and your dodge shouldn't exceed your highlight. Your dodge shouldn't exceed your highlight. So if you look at here, here is the highlight, you can see, so shouldn't exceed. Okay, so let's name this dodge. Then you come and click over here and press Ctrl I to invert it. Then you come again, you come and choose your curves again. Then this one will be your bends, so you bring it down. And when you're also bringing it down, you should also make sure that it shouldn't also exceed your shadows over here. So you come over here, let me bring the bends down, then you name this one bend. Then the same formula, Ctrl I to invert it. Then let's group this one, select the two, Ctrl G to group. Then I'll do it a short form, D and G, which is dodge, D and B, dodge and bend. Then within the dodge and bend, I'm going to use our black and white to separate the highlight from the shadows. So you come over here, you come to adjusted layers, then you come to black and white, then you crush the reds like this. So you can see that with the black and white, it has helped us to know the highlights and the shadows in these images. So in this image, which is going to help us to do our dodge and bend very well. So what you are going to do, you are going to start with our dodge. So you click over here, then you come to your brush, then over here you reduce, I basically sometimes reduce the opacity to somewhere 9 or 5, depending on how I want it to be. And even if you even increase it, you can decrease the opacity after you are done. Okay, so I'll come over here, and remember, if my mask over here is black, then I should use a white brush. So I'll choose a white brush. Then I start with my dodge. So increase my brush, so my dodge will be here. So let's see something. You can see that something is happening. So let me reduce my brush. Okay, if you want to reduce your brush, you see the bracket on your keyboard below the backspace. When you press on it, you'll be able to increase or decrease your brush. So wherever there's highlight, we are going to add some highlight over here. Okay. Okay, reduce my brush. Come over here. Do likewise. Do a little bit over here. Reduce it, do a little bit over here. Come here. Let me do this likewise. Okay. Do some over here. Do some here. Continue here. Continue a little bit here. Here too. Okay, now let's come to our bend. Okay, let me there's some highlights over here. Let's do that. Okay, so now let's come to the bends. Then you increase it a little bit. You bend this side. You bend here too. You decrease the brush. You bend here a little bit. You bend here. Sometimes the impression, you shouldn't press on it too much. That's why it's good for us to use a graphics tablet. There are some places they are not too dark, so we shouldn't be too hard on that places. So increase it a little bit. Then come over here. Okay. So these are bends. So let's take off the black and white and let's see what we have done so far. So take it off. I don't know if guys you can see the changes. Okay, sorry, before, after, before, after. Okay, so that's the dodge and bend. So most of the times if I want to crash down or get a melanin skin, and I'll be teaching that one in a previous video, how to go about it. Okay, so I use this one too. Sometimes I use it to bend. So can use this one too. And what I'll do, basically I used to do with this one, I used it in bending. If I think the highlights in the images are too much, then I come over here, exchange my brush over here, then I bring in another black and white, then I crash it deeper like this. Then I will come over here, then it will help me to, oh sorry, let me choose my brush. It will help me to do the highlights, Don't worry much about the eyes. The eyes, you are going to do the eye whitening. Okay, okay. So guys, don't skip this video, watch to the end, get time and watch to the end. I don't want to rush, so watch time, get time and watch to the end and practice it. So if you want this image, as I said, join my WhatsApp group. I'll drop this image over there for you to use, it as a practice, to practice with it. So let me take this one off so you can see. Okay, so before, after, before, after. If I feel it's too much still, delete this one, and then I reduce it a little bit. Now one thing about me is whenever I'm doing retouching, what I do is I always make sure that the texture of the image is there. Secondly, the person will look as she or he is, because most of the times we do retouch and we over retouch and don't even see the person as if the person is coming from a different planet. No. So when you're retouching, though everyone has his or her own way of retouching, but we should also be mindful of some of these things. So say before and after, before and after, before and after. So you can see that a lot of work has gone into this particular work. Okay, so what are you going to do next? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the colors over here and the blacks pop out. Then from there we go to the eye whitening. So let's press on this one, come over here, Ctrl Alt Shift E as we did. Then we come over and come to hue and saturation. So the hue and saturation, we increase the hues a little bit. Okay, I think we can add the lipstick to it, the hues like this. Then we come over here, Ctrl I, then we begin to paint. Let's change our brush to white, then increase the opacity over here. Then we begin to paint the sides. Going to paint here. Let me zoom in. So this image was shot with Canon 6D with 80mm lens. So you can see. So let's look at the before and after. Before, after, before, after. Okay, let's add the lips to it. Okay. Okay. So let's see before and after. Before, after, before, after. So what you are going to do is let's add a hue and saturation a little bit to this image and let's see how it looks like. So let's push it a little bit, like 5. So let's see before, after, before, after, before, after. Okay. Okay. So I think it's okay now. So the next thing that we are going to do is you come to the adjustment layer, come to selective colors, then you come and choose the blacks from here. Then let's push the blacks a little bit so you can see. So guys, you can see the difference now. So see, before, after, before, after. What happens is that it has added a little bit of contrast to the image. So you can see the before and the after. The eyes are already white, but yes, still we need to push it a little bit. So let's do some eye whitening. So Alt Control Shift E. I've taught on how you can manually do the eye whitening, but I want to use this one so that it can make the tutorial a little bit quick. So please, if you have not watched that video, you can go and watch my video on teeth and eye whitening. So let's do the eye whitening. Then we bring this tutorial to an end for today. Okay, so you come to the eye brightness. Let's zoom in, reduce my brush, opacity 100. Okay, so let me paint here. So basically the eye whitening also helps to make the image pop out, better eye whitening. And most of us, when you do the eye whitening, you see a lot of blues inside the eyes, and it doesn't speak to all of us. The reason why I did the teeth, the eye whitening is because most of the times when you push the colors, it also affects the whitening of the eye. So most of the times I do it last, so that we don't add any color or shift any color. So let's come over here, iris sparkle, and then let's paint here. So you can choose to change this one to blue, or you maintain the existing one. So it depends on how. So let's come over here, do the cleaning up. So you can see that with this particular, it takes all the veins, the blood veins in the eye out. Okay, so, and guys, some of you, when you're also cleaning the white eye, you come to an extent of even reaching this eye. No, it will look fake. It will look fake. So when you're retouching, let's take our time and do it well. Okay, so do it this way. Then let's do this. Oh, come on. Okay, let's zoom out and see. So if you think the iris color is too much, you can just reduce it a little bit like this. So guys, you can see, let me reduce the iris color still a little bit. Okay, so let me group all and let's see the before and after. So before of this image and the after of this image. Let me zoom in. Before, after, zoom in again, before, after, zoom in again, see, before, after. So guys, if you have found this tutorial to be useful or to be helpful, please try to subscribe to my channel, and if you have any comment, leave your comment in the comment section, and see you in the next tutorial. Thank you very much and have a blessed day, and remember, it's PROGRAFIX. Bye bye.